foreign national children as well as South African children who had migrated internally from rural communities to cities. Well, Save the Children is the world's leading independent organization committed to the protection of children's lives and rights. Gugu Ndebele is the CEO of Save the Children South Africa, and we chat to her now from our Pretoria studios. Good afternoon, Gugu, and thank you for your time on the PM News Desk.
Good afternoon, and thank you for having us.
Gugu, a precarious time for migrant children in the country. Speak to us of the effects of xenophobic violence that we're seeing on our children right now.
It is a difficult time indeed, and as you know, children deserve to be cared for and to be protected. And I think this violence has unfortunately traumatized them and has made them very vulnerable. And as you know, I mean, in terms of the children now, it has destroyed their emotional well-being and their social well-being. But most importantly, I think it has taken their innocence and their dignity. And most of them have been now more vulnerable to crime than they have ever been.
Gugu, a crucial find in that report is that child migration, it does not only entail or involve trafficking and refugee movement, but it also shows us that children often cross borders unaccompanied, more as a survival strategy. Why is it important for us when we're addressing the state of migrant children to make sure they are not confined to child trafficking contexts only?
You know, the effect of urbanization has made movement very effective. You know, a lot of children have moved from outside countries to South Africa, but also even within our own countries, they've moved from rural areas to urban areas. And so when you deal with the issue of child migration, you need to understand that in most cases, it's driven by economic need, protection need, educational need, and it's not necessarily child trafficking.
You're actually preempting my next question, Gugu. If you can tell us what factors would fuel a decision of this nature, often one that turns out to be life-threatening for the child involved.
I beg your pardon, I didn't hear the question.
Gugu, can you state some of the factors that would fuel such a decision, often one that turns out to be very dangerous, often perilous for the child involved?
In most cases, it's instability in the countries that they come from. Sometimes it's just a need for a better life. And sometimes it's a perception that they might find employment or more better educational opportunities if they either cross the border or cross the provincial borders.
You have some strong views on South Africa and its response to unaccompanied migrant children. Do you feel the response has been a satisfactory one at this stage? Where are the gaps when it comes to ensuring migrant children's protection?
As Save the Children, we feel that the response has been patchy, and primarily it's because most of the services that should be targeted at migrant children are not integrated. So, for instance, if you are at the border, you need to have home affairs, you need to have social development, you need to have the local municipality, you need to have education working together. Because one of the things that we find with these unaccompanied children is that they are not documented. And so you need to document them first to ensure that you can trace them. But secondly, that they need access to further services. If they come from war-torn countries, they are traumatized and therefore need psychosocial support. So if there's no networks of care where we receive these children, then the children are doubly traumatized than they would have been in their own countries.
Gugu, your organization has been working very hard to improve the protection of children and their rights, crossing borders between SA and neighboring countries, of course. But this is not just a South African problem. Speak to us of the need for a more cohesive, more comprehensive approach to alleviate the risk for vulnerable children.
I think obviously the first prize is for the countries of origin to be better economically developed, for there to be stability in those countries, but also for all of the countries to start talking together. I think the African Union and other SADC mechanisms are providing a great platform for ensuring that the continent in its entirety is properly developed, so that you minimize migration, but you ensure that children and families stay in their countries of origin.
Thank you, Gugu. CEO of Save the Children South Africa, Gugu Ndebele, joining us live from our Pretoria